Hi, you're listening to The Business of Longevity, a podcast exploring the future of the health industry. I'm your host, Oscar Moore, and I build strategy for several longevity companies such as the global functional medicine company Nordic Laboratories and the Danish nutrition brand Functional Future. Each other week, I'll sit down with pioneers who through their business endeavors are shaping how we live longer and healthier lives. From founders to CEOs to investors, all building the next generation of health companies. We'll unpack real business strategies and explore the experiences they've encountered along the way. Each episode is going to explore the vision, the science, the strategy, and the grit behind building the future of health. So welcome to the business of longevity.
For years, fitness was about looking good, performing better, and now this whole longevity is entering the conversation. Having built fitness businesses for decades, how do you see longevity changing the industry? Not just the workouts, but the business model.
So I think the word longevity is being used in such a broad term right now that you have the word longevity, you have the word wellness, you have the word exercise. Then it kind of falls under a bracket of fitness, or doesn't it? So I think this is quite interesting. And as we look to the future, it's really exciting being in the exercise space where we've been for 25 years, because longevity, and let's talk about the word medicine as well, is starting to play a really exciting piece. And for me, I think that's where the big connection comes in, when you start to bring in wellness, medicine, longevity, exercise, fitness, all under one umbrella. And I think that's what's quite an exciting stage that we're at right now. I hope that helps answer your question.
Awesome. Stewart Miller, welcome to the Business of Longevity. Great to have you here. You're a serial entrepreneur who's built businesses across South Africa and the Middle East, and lately focusing primarily on the fitness industry, having founded Platform Studios and Livewire Production, and now working away on the newest fitness venture, which I've had the pleasure to see, ARC, a club in the UAE. It's a pretty bold concept where this whole fitness, wellness, and longevity comes together. So I think you came in on it a little bit before around the word longevity. And if you can put a few more words on what you mean about it being such a broad buzzword right now.
Well, we could probably spend the entire time together today on this one particular topic, but I think from a high level, I think it means something different to everybody. And I think that when you talk about the new project which we're launching, which is called ARC, it also relates to that same topic, because we talk about somebody's arc in their wellness journey. Your arc, Oscar's, at a very different stage to mine. And my wife and my kids are also at different stages, but we all take it very seriously. It's all become a huge part of our life, this word fitness, this word wellness and exercise, which for me is all about living a happier life. And the word longevity and happiness for me to go together, because previously when we were in the exercise experience business, we were in the sports business, then the exercise experience business, but it's all about moving people to a healthier, happier life. And it's not just about saying that, because at the end of the day, we all want to be fitter. We don't just want to be fit, we all want to be happier. We don't just want to be happy. And, that's something that I was fortunate enough to learn from Arthur C. Brooks on a course that I did from Harvard about this particular subject. And it resonated with what we were currently going through and what we were looking at building, because longevity for us encompasses all of this. And I want to feel better than I do today in 10 years' time. It's not a vanity project anymore. People aren't looking at it from that point of view. At it, particularly at our age and the age that I'm at and groups of my friends, we're looking at having more energy. We're looking at performing better now than we did when we were in our 40s. And when we're in our 60s, we want to perform even better. And that's possible now because of how science is starting to play a key role. And I think we're trying to, it's even hard to articulate it to you, but you got to see a little bit, got to spend a bit of time with you listening to all the pockets. So what does it mean to you? I mean, when you think about that particular point, and your view will be different, I'd be interested to hear.
Yeah. So no, I think it's an excellent question, because I challenge longevity a lot. I use it myself because it's a buzzword that people pick up on when I explain what I'm doing working in the longevity space. But actually, I'm not that fond of this buzzword because people are using it in all contexts. Everything is longevity. It can be anything from eating broccoli to going to the fitness center, but it can also be something much more intense, doing ozone therapy, hyperbaric therapy, plasma exchanges. I mean, that's longevity too. So I'm hoping that as we evolve in this space, bringing more and more people in, that we become more clear on the definition. I think the likes of health span coming in to talk about, and that includes the happiness that you're on about, meaning that you have a longer life, a longer healthy life, because no one wants to sit at age 120 having been in pain, agony, misery since their 50s, right?
Yeah.
So I think this definition is going to evolve, but I think we also have to be critical. And I'm very, very vocal about supplement brands that are making gummy bears filled with sugar and adding some vitamins in there and going hard on the longevity space, because I'm going, well, where's the longevity here? You're eating some sweets. I mean, it's not that beneficial. You have a bit of supplement so you can create claims about your sweets. I mean, we need
So
to
it's purely they're using the buzzword to sell the suite or to sell the product, and
Exactly.
and you find that quite frustrating, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
and so if we stay a little bit within the gym, there's something that I've been contemplating
Okay.
lately, which is the classic gym setup. Is it built on the short-term motivation, or is it built on long-term health? So if we're looking at the standard gym, you walk in, there's your machinery, these kind of things. Are they actually thinking about the time span you're going to stay in this area, or is it just that quick fix, come in January, make it all up for having a rough Christmas?
Yeah, and I think if we try and put it into some silos, it might help me explain it a little bit better. If you had to go to a budget club, which is this term now that's been high value, low cost, I think their goal is to continuously acquire new customers,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of people, that are coming into fitness or coming into exercise and into a gym who are not fully committed. So they come out of the system a lot, and you've got to continuously have this funnel. So I think, to answer the first part of your question, I think they're only interested in the short-term fix. It could even be 1 month, it could be 3 months, it could be 1 day. And the club's job is to sign them up as quickly as possible and then hope that the churn is low, where the industry churn average is 45%. So you just think about that for a minute, that's massive. But when you start to go up the tier a little bit and you start to look at the mid or premium clubs, I think they're more about how do they retain the client. So they focus more on the product, they focus more on the experience, and they try and make sure that you stay engaged at the average, which is 9 times a month or more, so that they know that if you're using it 8 times or more, you're likely to stay on. So they're the ones that are probably spending a little more energy looking at what's happening in the market, what are the trends, what's happening in longevity and wellness, what can I introduce into my business so that Oscar stays for longer and I improve Oscar's life because he sees the improvements. So whether it's ice bars, whether it's sauna, whether it's red light, whether it's some basic touch points around the longevity piece, they're trying to improve your life. So I think that's probably, to answer your question, that's the split. The second piece of it is that there are some businesses out there that are quite happy to take you on as a member and kind of hope you don't come, hope you don't add too much pressure for them. In the same tone, they fit into the ecosystem beautifully for me, because what they do is a lot of them introduce people to the joy of exercise. And some of the people actually enjoy it and then say, you know what, I actually want more. I want more from my product. I want more from my gym. And then they go up the ladder to a more premium product. So, and then I think it's a responsibility, the businesses at the top of the pyramid, it's their responsibility to bridge the gap And that's where we feel we sit right now. It's actually our responsibility to fill the gap between science and exercise and make it the bridge between the two, achievable and accommodate even the tone of voice and the language we choose to allow people to experience what's actually happening with hyperbaric, what's actually happening with some of these more science-based products that you know a lot about. And I think that that's quite exciting for us in the fitness space. We're opening ourselves up to a whole new world.
I loved that answer. It was fantastic. And I'm intrigued to see if you concur with me when I say the trickle-down effect as well, because I think one of the biggest ambivalences that I sit with in this space is the cost of health, the cost of longevity, health span, to invest in going to quality gyms, getting quality treatment, but also doing quality tests, which is where my strength kind of lies. And sometimes looking at someone who really needs this quality test, but there's a price associated with it. That's what creates the ambivalence. But my argument is always, and that's where I kind of follow your chain of thought here, which is there is a huge responsibility for the most premium, the highest quality in health markets, because it's going to trickle down on the other, perhaps lower quality, lower priced offerings out there. And not to say that the basic gym is going to be having hyperbarics around there, but it opens the mindset of these basic gyms as well to say, okay, how can we offer more and keep this price down so that we actually target even more people to be healthy? So actually the effect that you're having from the top is trickling down and hitting a much broader audience. Do you agree with that?
I think that, what's that phrase? Health is the new wealth. You know, the new flex is your abs. It's not the Lambo. So, you know, you just got to look at some of the serious entrepreneurs and billionaires out there, how they're changing the way that they show up. And it doesn't only lean into what they're trying to represent, that they're disciplined or that they look good. It's not about always how they look with their shirt off. I think it's more around the fact that they want to be the best versions of themselves. So arriving with a lot of energy and arriving with a clear mind and arriving there in a body that is performing helps them keep scaling their businesses. But it's super expensive because I'm a retail buyer on the one side, so I understand the pain. Plus, there's 4 of us in my house that all enjoy it. So, you know, the cost is 4x. So I hear you 100%. I'm hopeful that as it becomes more mainstream, what ends up happening is the volumes of things make them more cost effective. If you think about it this way, only 1.8% of the population are innovators. So let's assume that only 1.8% of this slightly wealthier demographic are actually enjoying and utilizing a lot of this science. Then less than 10% of the population are early adopters. So they're starting to adopt it. So now it's starting to spread a little bit. So now you got manufacturers and providers and specialists and educators now starting to have a bigger audience, being able to hopefully produce more and break those economies of scale and creating more competition. So instead of there only being 3 or 4 providers, there's now 50. When it gets to 500 providers of the same product, there's now all of a sudden not as much, there's more seats available or more product available than the demand. So the pricing shifts. When that starts to happen, obviously it's going to filter through. And I think those are just the basics behind it. As it starts to become more mainstream, it'll then become more open. Just think about ice baths at home, hyperbaric at home, red lights at home. Those were wild before to think about it. That was like, it was way out of price. But when more and more this product becomes highly available, so can those budget clubs take it. So can people have it at home. And it starts to become quite disruptive from a price point of view at the top. And I look forward to that time, because then what's going to happen is the people that haven't been able to afford it right now, and that demographic, are going to also start to feel the benefits of this performance and this science and lean into it. And then what happens is a snowball effect, because more of their community get to talk about it and use it and see the results. And that's going to be very exciting. I will lean into this word about, lean into this concept around the fact that there isn't enough gyms out there. You know, everybody goes, oh, there's another gym opening, or there's another concept. Thank goodness, you know. there's a lot of Italian restaurants out there, and I love Italian restaurants, and there's a lot of Asian contemporary restaurants out there, and I love that as well. But there can be a lot more gyms. And I look forward to that. And I look forward to having a knock-on effect that these products become more cost-effective.
It's the, as you were speaking, I was drawing a parallel to the Tesla model, the Roadster that was created at a high price.
Yeah.
Big cost for the company. They weren't necessarily going to make it. If you go back and look at how it was going, it was probably an individual's drive more than it was the financing, but the cost of that made sure that the masses could experience that luxury of driving an electric car. And that fits very well into that story you just told. So we've just gone straight into it. And this is why I loved speaking with you, Stewart, because you're a real businessman and you really understand market mechanisms of what drives a consumer. You're thinking constantly along these lines. But fitness wasn't always the center of your work and your daily life. So when did this become important for you personally?
When I was at school, I struggled quite a bit, but I was able to swim quite well. So, having a sport or having something that you were good at when you're at a young age, and for me, it was sport, particularly swimming. Obviously, nothing succeeds like success. So you lean in, and then throughout high school and just after high school, performed at the highest level. And it allowed me to really be noticed, be identified, have a place, even though some of the other things, academically was struggling, got into trouble a lot, and, all of these beautiful things at boarding school. I was able to still stand out because I was a provincial swimmer, and I went to the Olympic trials, and lots of beautiful things happened in my life because of that. But at the same time, it allowed me to still stay on track. And I think the biggest thing is it allowed me to still show up for a lot of those things that I didn't really enjoy, because I knew that just one foot in front of the other, one step in front of the other, I was still succeeding. I was still winning at something. And I think for us, even in the methodology of our business today, even in the clubs that we build, we do everything we can to make sure that, customer, our user, goes through the transformation when they're with our business, like I did throughout my whole life. And even today, I managed to work out this morning. I managed to have a sauna, and I felt great. Without that, I've been feeling bad the last year because I've been feeling too well, and I've just gone for a walk, haven't trained properly. This week hasn't been perfect, but you feel it. You can't get out of first gear. Now I'm feeling better ready because I trained yesterday. I trained today a little bit, had a light cardio, did a sauna, but I feel great. Now I want a million people to feel that every day. I want to move 1 million people a day, because I know that win for them, when they arrive as person A, and during their time with us, we transform their experience and they leave as person B. So just that is super exciting for us. And if we touch you digitally, or we touch you in person, or we work with a company that touches you, that's fabulous. And you asked the question, when did I learn it? I learned it early on for myself. We then opened a cycling business, and I dealt with professionals and the public, and we changed thousands of lives doing that. And then we opened the fitness club. This year we'll move over 1 million people in the businesses, which is still not quite 1 million a day, but we're working towards it. So that's exciting for us, because we know we're setting somebody up for success, and at least they're in control of that one win. And if we can help them through that journey, that's fantastic.
But you've grown everything organically. So you've had these ideas, and you've gone off and built them. Tell me a venture that one wouldn't expect that you've been out building. You were speaking a little bit about bikes. What else have you been in your early days trying to figure out what business was about, how to read customers, how to sell, how to engage, how to impact?
I think in the bicycle business, because I was actually in the automotive industry, and I was passionate about cycling, so I went into the bike business, and I just wanted the best. And I heard about this small Canadian brand called Cervelo. They had 4 or 5 customers worldwide. The first international meeting was in a warehouse with all boxes around us, and we were like their first distributors / customers. But listening to their story, how they started, and then thinking about how we started that business together, and how they grew that business to be one of the most successful bicycle brands, from doing a handful of bikes a year as a project to creating this global brand, gave me confidence as well that sometimes just starting with 1 is enough. And then you go to 5, And then from 5, you go to 5,000. So it was just exciting seeing them build it because they were great guys. They built an incredible product. They focused on that experience. That everything else that we built since then, we've also tried to focus on the similar principles. And if 5 people love your product, you got to just dig down a little bit deeper as to why do they love it or why they love your business. Because those 5 will become 5,000. It's just about the patience again, and every day, one step at a time. And slowly it starts to gain momentum. And I don't know when the turning points are in businesses, and I don't know even when the turning points were in our businesses, but something just clicks. And when it clicks, they can't live without you. And that's when you've got a proper business. And that's what's exciting building. And we're doing it again. And not everything works straight away. Some things you have to change. Some things, you have to move left or right, or you have to innovate or bring partners on to help you grow them, whether it's equity or whether it's collaboration. And then all of a sudden the business changes and moves. And that's actually the exciting part about building businesses, especially in the wellness space right now. There's so many things coming into it. So we're in fitness, but we have a production company that films live classes every day. We stream live classes every day from Dubai globally to millions of users. This is quite cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I think you mentioned it a bit earlier, which I thought was interesting, because you say that you impact individuals through other businesses.
Yeah.
So with this content that you're creating, try put some more words onto it so that the listener kind of understands what you're doing with this live content or production site.
We're the only company in the world producing fitness content live and streaming it to third parties, our partners. And our partners are branding it and putting it into their devices, whether it's treadmills, whether it's fitness apps, whether it's screens in gyms. But we can film something in one place and stream it to multiple locations, like a live TV broadcast. And the coach that's teaching it engages with the users on the other side through a device. Now, that's also pretty cool because through this technology, it's been happening for years, but it always happens under the same brand. The same brand produces it and the same brand delivers it, and they own that ecosystem, and it's closed. I believe the future that won't exist. I believe the future that content will be shared amongst more people. I believe licensing is going to play a much bigger piece of this. I think that there's going to be a lot more companies that are doing what we're doing, and I'm looking forward to it because it validates what we do, and we're the first ones in the market with it. Always stay at the tip of the spear as we break through this. And we will make sure we partner with incredibly dynamic and growing businesses, which we're doing now. And you film a cycle class, a yoga class, a run class here at 12 or 1 p.m. and it's early morning in the East Coast, and it's mid-morning in the UK. And, it's quite an incredible thing to watch when we're streaming and you start to see all these users come onto our consoles in the film studio. And we film it in a virtual environment with this real coach teaching. And we change the backgrounds depending on where it's being received. So you might receive it with Dubai in the background, and somebody else might receive it with something else in the background and a different name. But what is exciting is with AI now, we can change what you say. And as technology starts to speed up, which is really exciting, I can customize it for you, Oscar. I can say, morning, Oscar, how you doing? Where are you now? I'm in Norway, or I'm here, or I'm there. Okay, awesome. And this interaction becomes hyper customized through AI. But the coach is still live. Now, that's entertainment business. So now you start to shift into something else, because it's not only exercise, it's not only wellness, it's not only digital. It starts to move into the entertainment space. So I think it's a really exciting time for fitness professionals. I think it's a really exciting time for coaches, personal trainers, and people in the industry now to say, hang on a minute, there's a slightly different path I can go down in my career. This is not just about teaching one-on-one. This is not just about, making fitness content to put on social media to become famous. You don't need to worry about that anymore. There's so many other exciting things coming, and you need to lean into it.
So if I'm a consumer and I've logged into this ecosystem and I've got a live coach going on, do I need to physically be in a gym for this to function? Or is it something that's also being provided for home training? Or how does it look from a consumer's point of view?
So there are some products that require equipment, whether it's a reformer bed, a bicycle, a treadmill. So whether you have that at home, that could be the challenge. But there's no harm in going to the gym and getting on the bike there with your phone and your headphones on. Now, That's quite cool. And some brands that we've worked with have put big screens in their clubs, and you can go into that class and jump on a bike and train with somebody on the other side of the world that you've never met before, that you follow on social media, and then you just love their energy and you have a fabulous class. And that's also part of the program. So it is flexible between both home and in club. And we did a clone yesterday. I actually went to the studio with my son, and we've cloned out. I've cloned myself a few times, but some of the technology is changing. So you have to refilm and the new clones are absolutely wild. They actually sound just like me with my South African accent. But you imagine you clone yourself. You've seen a lot of it online, but it's quite different when you figure out what to do with it. It's not just a gimmick. It's like, well, what do I do with it next? Well, now I create a Stewart OS. So if I'm a personal trainer, I put all my IP into one bucket, into one folder. I then create the avatar. So now I've cloned myself. I then show up on my platform, whether it's my app or whether it's Livewire's app or whether it's a gym app. I can then talk to you while, as an avatar, you ask me the questions and I answer from my methodology as a coach. Now, Oscar, as the user, can talk to Stewart as the coach, and I will reply at no cost. Then you say, you know what, I thank you for this. You work out with me. You start following me. You then message me and say, listen, I'd like to book a one-on-one with you. Then you can book me and you pay me. And then we do some one-on-one. But we've never met. You open up a very different world for the coaches then, because they can make money while they're sleeping through their avatar, their clone. And then they also have the ability to reach a much bigger audience to now connect in person online. And it's happening. I mean, I'm working with companies globally now that they're doing this on a daily basis. Yes, it's small traction and it's a small revenue, but it's not going to be like that for long.
It changes the reach completely for a personal trainer who's traditionally been locked in a gym and has X amount of hours with the clients during a week, and that's the maximum revenue they can create, the maximum impact they can have on people's lives. Now you can, there's not a limit to how many people you can actually have an impact on, and there's not a limit on your financing either. So if your personal brand becomes strong enough, you can actually be, really hitting a lot of people, and that's what we like. I mean, if you're a soccer player or a football player, you would like to have someone in that space that thinks along those lines of how you should be training, how you should be looking after your body. But it's not always that easy to get access to a high quality coach that works within that space. So I really like that thought of me being, if I think back to being 15 years old and wanting to get better at football, but not really knowing what to train, how to do it. And then you book just an average personal trainer who doesn't know the importance of explosivity, that doesn't know the importance of strength in certain muscles, then you miss out on all that opportunity. But if you can feed into someone who's an expert in this field and use the avatar constantly on a daily basis, discuss what muscles are we training, why are we training, and getting an understanding, I mean, it changes the motivation for these types of
and
people.
You've used the word hours. So there are only so many hours in a day for all of us. So you and I will have clones in the future doing a lot of exciting things. But if you think about a coach, conditioning coach for the Springbok rugby team, and just a star or one of the frontline coaches, backline coaches, and I am somebody who wants to really up my game, it's impossible for me to get to him. Impossible. But I can get his methodology. I can talk to him as an avatar. And in time, he'll get to know me better than any human coach could because of my wearable connectivity and the time that I can give him interacting with him. So through this understanding and knowledge, I wake up today, he knows, he's changed my program, by the way, today, based on the game that I had yesterday.
Yep.
Because he's seen my recovery, he's seen how I'm responding, and I've also answered a few questions from automatically, and all of a sudden my program changes. Personal trainers can't do that, because they're back-to-back hours. and they've got a handful of clients that they can manage at that time. So it really does open up the world to creating superhumans, better performers at all ages and all demographics. And I'm going to throw a caveat in here. I've used South Africa for a reason, because the price point of a world champion coach there, maybe not a world champion coach, let me rather reframe it, a really top qualified personal trainer is very different to a personal trainer that's sitting in London. Rate per hour. So now think about that for a minute. You're now not only able to get a higher quality coach, personal trainer out of South Africa or out of another third world country, you're able to get them full time as an AI or as a in-person coach. And don't think that most of it's going to be hybrid. I'm going to deal with the AI every day, and then once a week or once a month, I'm going to check in with the human. Now, that also changes a whole revenue stream for the coach. And we want to build this platform. We've invested many years in building this platform that connects the coach to the client. And that's the future for us. That's the future for our business, of how we believe we can move more people. And there's nothing quite like it. It hasn't been done because it's super complicated. And we're building businesses at the moment, and we're learning a lot about it as we start to build this out at the same time. I think that I'd love to be able to talk to, Chris Bumstead's coach. I'd love it as a client, even if it's just a couple of hours with an avatar. It wouldn't be great.
So you're talking about these businesses you're building next to this, and that brings me a little bit back to ARC that we've talked about briefly during this conversation, because I had the privilege of walking around in a huge space at the marina in Dubai and listening to the way you are going to completely change that space to something that people will be addicted to, I think. And I've seen
well said.
some of the drawings of the space, and I have kind of two questions to this. We're talking about the avatars and working on that. Then why also focus on creating a physical gym? Let's start with that.
It's timing is perfect. I've got something fresh in my mind on this, and if you don't mind, I'm going to pull off another podcast to help me answer your question. So Chris Williamson was interviewing Chris Bumstead, and Chris Bumstead was talking about retiring and told only his friends and his close community after the 5th, but then didn't retire, and he was reaching the point of being tired of what he was doing. He then won again, retired, went through a period of uncertainty as to what did he do after being Mr. Olympia, what was his life like? And he gravitated back to what he loved. And he loved bodybuilding. He loved working out. He loved going to the gym. And that made him happy again. And, somebody that I was on the call with yesterday had said something to me. I haven't spoken to them in a while. And they'd said to me again, why are you building another club? Because you've built lots of clubs, you've sold them, you created this great experience. And when I sold that business, I didn't say never again. I just had enough of that particular structure for a number of reasons. But it wasn't that I was over the experience part of it. I was just getting tired of that particular structure and that company's vision and where they wanted to take it. So I sold my shares. But during this break period, which has been close on 3 years now, we realized approximately a year ago, my wife and I, we realized that we have a love for it and we have a passion for it. And that's why we built the first one. And that's why we want to do it again, because we love creating something where the community can come and really enjoy it. And the level of detail we go down to would drive 99% of the population absolutely crazy when they build it. But that's what we enjoy doing, whether it's the fabric on the towel, the exact fabric, and we don't just get 2 samples, get 10. I'm talking about something that a consumer wouldn't know the difference between 1 and 2. But because of so many factors, we've decided on that particular model. Now, we love that. We love building that piece. It might not be the best way to build, to be so pedantic and so specific and turn things over and over again, but that's actually part of the joy for us. And I'm going to relate back to what Chris Bumstead said, was that his world started to get aligned again. He started to feel happy again when he started placing his discipline back in. weighing his food, training at the same time, training hard. It wasn't for competition. That was the love of why he got into it. And for us, building this club again is the reason and the love why we got into it in the first place. Kind of, when I heard it today, it really resonated with me. So it's quite opportune that you asked me that question, because I'd been feeling that that's why we were doing it, because we were excited about it. We just kept using the word, no, excited to do it, we're excited to do it. But actually, it's because that's what we love doing. So it would be a shame not to share that with the world again, because we have so many new ideas and we have so many new exciting things that are available to us, whether it's AI, whether it's some of these fabulous longevity tools that are now available to mere like ourselves, that we can bring into the gym and that we can afford to offer our members in the membership package. So come and join our gym and have access to all of these incredible and innovative inventions and scientific discoveries that are being available and afforded to a handful of people. We've done the work. We've gone out there. We're partnering with who we believe are the best globally and bringing them to you so you don't have to do it. And our business is built around not just brick and mortar. It's built around this global membership. And again, back to the arc in your life, whether you even come into the physical space or not, we still want to touch you. And that's where digital comes in.
I can't stop but think about the word risk when you're talking about all this, because there's no doubt that you're very passionate. You've had great experience. You've gone off and built.
That word, I don't use the word risk much, but let's hear where it's going, Oscar.
Well, maybe we should find another word, but I sit there and go, the huge space there, the amount of years that it takes that you have to sign a lease, the cost of equipment, and the cost of hyperbarics, the cost of some of these very expensive equipment that you're going to be bringing in. Is there nothing in you that goes, oh my God, am I going to lose here? Am I going to experience people won't sign up? Or is there that sense of doubt in you? Or are you see straight through that and you're so mission driven and you know that this is going to succeed? What are those feelings like?
Yeah, so the question leans me into this point around gambling. I don't think entrepreneurs are gamblers. That's the first thing. I think we are actually the opposite. And I know for myself, and I remember hearing Richard Branson talking about it as well before, we make calculated decisions. So is there something calculating in gambling? I don't think so. I don't gamble, so I don't know. But the point of it is we do everything we can long before we do all those things to make sure that when we sign that lease and we order that equipment, we've got a very clear 10, 5, 3, 2, 1 year strategy, because we don't want to gamble our money away. And the last thing we want to do is gamble our partners' money away or investors who've entrusted us to look after their money. With that being said, we are guaranteed we're going to have challenges. We're guaranteed we're going to have to navigate treacherous storms. But that's what we lean into. So when that happens, that's when we show up. So we don't show up and support our team when things are beautiful and it's just cruising along. We show up to help them achieve their goals. We support them to help them achieve their goals. Then the overall company will be successful. But we show up when it's really tough and you got to get through the storm, because it's going to come. We don't try and avoid it. We lean into it. So sometimes there's only one way through. You'll go a little bit left, you'll go a little bit right, but you can't turn around and go home. And you do everything you can to just navigate your way through the storm, but it's going to come. Talking about losing it, talking about risk, talking about all those things, they don't play in it for me. There's just and it's also not going in blind, going, oh no, I'm going to just look up to the stars and it's going to happen. That doesn't play a part in it either. Yes, you have to be positive. Yes, you have to be passionate about it, and you're going to work hard. Then you're going to work even harder. Then you're going to lean in even more to get through the process until you get to the other side and the sun starts to shine. And what does make it worthwhile is as you go along and you start to see pockets of success, even though tiny ones, reward yourselves, and you reward your team. And it doesn't have to be monetary. It could be as simple as acknowledgement. It could be as simple as coming home and having dinner with everybody and my family and telling them about the success that we've had that month or that day in the business. Or looking at a message that you get on Instagram from a customer who's just had the most incredible experience. Or a coach telling you about a customer that came to them and said how she's changed her life. Then you're done. Then it's like, You don't mind the storm. You're going to get through it, because when people around you are experiencing that, you know you're doing something right. So I hope that helps again clarify your well thought out questions, Oscar, today. You've got me going here a bit. Huh?
Yeah, I know. I'm glad. It sounds also a little bit like your reward isn't necessarily monetary, but also the impact that you can have positively on people.
Yeah, so every business wants to make a profit. So let's not blur that, because if you don't make a profit, your shareholders are not happy with you. But you have to make a profit today, or you have to become profitable. That's the first piece, because there's also time. And when you find partners and when you find visionaries who believe in you and work with you, your team, your partners, financial or whether just supportive, they'll weather that storm and they don't mind waiting. And that's what becomes quite exciting. And that's what actually makes a difference. Because if you're just chasing down the money, then you're going to go a different product, I believe.
Interesting. So as we're beginning to wrap up here, if you were to explain very briefly what is Arc Gym for someone who has only heard the name, what would they expect when they step in when you open in 2026?
They would step into the space, and the first thing that they would feel is just like other beautiful spaces. Wow, great equipment, beautiful furniture, incredible layout, just like all the things that you'd expect when you go, okay, this gym costs $15,000 a month to come here. Like everything you'd expect is in there. And you would go through the motions and you would enjoy it. And then you would leave, but you would leave with feeling something. And that feeling that you leave with, you just can't quite figure out, because it's intangible. And that intangible asset is what's going to make the product exceptional. But every single thing that you've touched, from the minute you stepped out of the lift, the smell, the lights, the way you enter, the frictionless thought that's gone into every single part of your journey has been done intentionally, not out of chance. So that thoughtful process all the way through your whole journey, your what happens before you arrive, during, and post, has your arc of your experience has been thought about all the way, that you leave and go, wow, what was that? That's what's missing at home. That's what's missing in my gym in London or in New York. That's what's missing when I go anywhere else. I got to go back there. I just can't explain it. When you're telling your friends at dinner that night, you can't even use the words because it's intangible. And that's what's going to make it quite special. And Oscar, I look forward to you coming out there and experiencing it. And I promise we'll only charge you $14,900 to...
Listen, I was just about to say, yeah, you're helping Emirates make a lot of money, because I'm going to be booking my tickets to get out there and do my
deal. I'll do a deal with that BMW 7 Series that brings the first class passengers to the door. I'll do a deal with them to bring everybody straight to me.
You should do. That would be excellent. So to round off, I've got a few quick questions, and they might be quick, but it seems like you've got so many thoughts. I think my big question here, do you truly believe that gyms will be the front door to preventative health, or will healthcare always own that relationship elsewhere?
I think that innovative healthcare companies will lean into the health club industry to build their profitability. So the bigger their base, the more risk they have on claims, the harder they lean into the health club industry and push their membership base and support the health club industry, their risk of their clients and their profiles go down. So straight away, they become more profitable. So if they're going to win in the space, healthcare industry needs to lean into the health club industry. So I just don't know why more healthcare companies or medical aid companies don't own health clubs. I just don't understand that.
So this is actually closing it off now. So what's the single most important decision a fitness or wellness founder needs to make if they want to build something that lasts? If you're someone sitting there going, oh, I want to get into this space, I just don't know how to build something that'll actually last.
You have to really look at yourself in the mirror and be brutally honest. You have to speak to your partner if you're married or you have a partner at the time and have a real heart-to-heart. Is this what we want to do with our lives? Because this is not necessarily a flashy industry. This is not going to... I'm talking if you open one very successful health club and you have ambitions of doing that. You've got to then come to terms with the fact that you're going to run it, and you have to enjoy that idea. You've got to be excited about that idea that in 5 or 10 years' time, when you've got little kids or big kids, you're still going there every day because it's a living, breathing organism. There's customers enjoying it and there's staff using it. So this thing lives and breathes every single day. It doesn't sleep. So you're going to be involved. And if you're truly honest with yourself and you're prepared to accept that, then you're going to be in business for a very long time. It's when you start to think you don't need to be involved. It's when you start to think it's going to be easy, work-life balance, and so on. That's possibly where people are making some mistakes and the businesses are starting to slide.
Great. And the one health habit, you spoke about it when we started about the importance of going to the gym, but what's the one health habit you'll never miss? And this is not for performance, but more longevity wise.
Well, it's not necessarily a health habit, but a health test is I do my bloods regularly and I try and watch my markers very closely and whatever I'm taking, doing, missing, and continuously try and make sure my levels are consistent, because there's been times in my life when I felt less energetic. There have been times in my life when I felt possibly overwhelmed. And then actually when you dig into it, it's because internally I don't have balance. And it's quite surprising how we forget that. And we put ourselves under unnecessary pressure that we've always got to be excited and ready to, grab our briefcases and run out the door all excited every day, when that's not the case. But when you are feeling a little bit sluggish, sometimes something's going on inside. So that would probably be the number one. I do exercise every day, but that's a habit that helps me really start my day off. And as I'm getting a bit older, I also enjoy working out in the middle of the day, late in the afternoon. And it's just something that becomes, I want to use the word meditative, but it's part of my meditation that helps me reset, refocus, and recharge.
Good. And you're quite active out there on social media and with your avatars and work your way. So where can the listeners find you and follow you building Arc and Livewire and all of these fun projects that you're working?
So it's Stewart Miller, and that's my Instagram handle. I think that would be the best place. And LinkedIn is the same, and stewartmiller.com is the website. All just my name and .com. And then TikTok is the same. So I try and place on all the channels some interesting content and continuously try and share our journey.
We're going to link some of those tags below. But Stewart, this has been so much fun talking about everything from the importance of looking after yourself, but also building businesses, building gyms, your vision, the way you see the future and how that's going to look. I'm really excited to see it all, and I'm now going to book my tickets for Dubai. So can't wait to see it fully decked out. Thank you very much for being on The Business of Longevity.
Thanks a lot, Oscar. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
That was The Business of Longevity. I'm Oscar. Thank you for being part of shaping a healthier future through businesses and brands that truly make a difference. If this episode gave you a new perspective on what it takes to build a longevity company, share it with someone who should hear it. I'll see you in the next episode.